Welcome everyone to this episode of Brookwood Bites, and today featuring Jacky Stansfield Smith, Counsel to the Institute of Supply Chain Management. First of all, Jacky, thanks for joining us. Do you want to just give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and tell us a bit more about you?
Good morning, Alistair, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm a member of the Advisory Council to the Institute of Supply Chain Management, often referred to as IoSCM. So as an institute, we really focus on the individuals and organisations within the supply chain, offering support, guidance and advice, and professional qualifications to those sort of making this their profession. So that's an overview of IoSCM, and of course, at this present moment in time, with the COVID-19 pandemic sort of affecting all of us, it's a particularly busy time for the Institute, to say the least.
Yeah, I can well imagine. I mean, you talk about the wider supply chain industry there. In your opinion, how is this pandemic going to change that supply chain industry?
Well, change can be difficult to predict, Alistair, as sure you're aware, but one thing is for certain, this COVID-19 pandemic will have a long-term impact on the supply chain industry. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learnt out there. Also, a lot of things that have worked. So really what we see, having spoken with our members, is that they're often saying that they're looking forward to an opportunity to reflect on how they've perhaps manage risk within their supply chain. I think that word's coming out a lot from our members. They're talking about how they've managed risk, how they would perhaps manage risk a little bit more differently in the future. And another key point that's coming back from our members is they're talking a lot about the AI tools that they have in place or that they would like to develop, particularly in predicting activity and improving perhaps demand forecasting, areas like that. So they've got that end-to-end visibility of their supply chains. So people may be going to embrace the digital supply chain a little bit more than they have been to date. I'm perhaps talking about small to medium enterprises, following on from lessons learned from the larger corporations.
No, that makes complete sense. It ties in with a number of the conversations I've been having regarding future tech within the supply chain. So that's really interesting. I mean, in terms of the supply chain, what do you think are the most affected areas?
Well, what I would say is that, just the very nature of the supply chain being so connected. If something impacts one sector of the chain, there is, it impacts every sector of the chain. And really that's where we see, what we call these small, perhaps ripples in the supermarket, for example, with a shortage of hand sanitizer on the shelf, and then you see that emphasized and magnified throughout the chain until you get right to the beginning of the chain where manufacturers don't have the raw materials that they need to do it. So really, to answer that question, I think would say it's affecting all areas of the supply chain, some perhaps a little bit more obviously and visibly than others. Other impacts are behind the scenes, but really, like I said, the very nature of the chain is that every link is impacted by by this pandemic, whether it's a change in consumer behaviour or the requirement of the NHS needing completely different equipment than they've needed before, or far greater volume. There is impact throughout the chain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're seeing that a lot. I think, as you quite rightly said there, from consumer behaviours right the way through now to what people are experiencing further down the logistics and distribution with social distancing, etc. So what is management doing to support the supply chain community, and how can we gain further advice and support from you guys?
Well, what I would say is, as an institute, our aim has always been to inform, educate and connect supply chain professionals. We're continuing to do so. So, for example, what we're doing is really encouraging our members, whether they be corporate members or individuals, to keep those collaborations going that the supply chain is really already very good at. So to keep the collaborations going, speak with our expert network for perhaps expertise that they don't have within their particular sector. We really trying to highlight some of those people that are and organisations that are really facing these challenges in a really positive way. So we're doing that through our Supply Chain Stars initiative, where we're asking organisations to nominate people that they've come across, or other organisations, or their own organisation, through social media or directly on our website. And that's been great. It's given us an opportunity to create this Hall of Fame of Supply Chain Stars, and really encourage people to do that. It's a, it's a really positive way to highlight some of the great things that are happening. And we've also developed something which I know you're aware of, Alistair, there at Brookwood, that we've developed a COVID-19 toolkit, which is available to our members, our students, but also the wider supply chain community. So really everybody can access that toolkit. There's advice and guidance there from an individual point of view. So there's information about, your own well-being, your own health, but a lot of information on there about that's very supply chain specific. So looking to help manufacturers, like you said, about the social distancing within manufacturing, and how to really approach your job in a safe manner. It's really packed with advice, updates and information, and really encourage anybody to visit the toolkit for further advice on that.
Brilliant. Lovely. That's great. Really insightful. It's great to hear what you guys are doing to offer support to the wider community, and it's brilliant. Some really insightful information there. So thank you for that, Jacky. Just one final question before we go. A question I'm asking to everybody. Quick answer. What's one thing you're doing most outside of work during this lockdown period?
Well, so one thing I'm doing is reading I often buy these sort of self-help type books that I do quite a bit of traveling, at the airports and at stations. Usually how to be a better manager, or how to, lead your team better, that kind of thing. Usually read it a little bit on that journey, and then it gets left. So I'm doing a little bit more reading, I would say, than I usually have time to do. So that's great. And really connecting and engaging with family and friends a little bit more than I would normally do. So I think that human connections, it's been highlighted a little bit more, hasn't it, during this time for everybody? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Jacky, thanks everything. It's been really great speaking to you, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
I said thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.